what Enterprise PDM actually is. So it's a data management software for SolidWorks CAD data, but also it handles really any other file type, and that's a big power of it. It's a SQL-based software, so it's based on a SQL database that's part of the licensing. But the nice thing about it is the interface and ease of use, and really being able to set it up really quickly and really can modify it to fit any customer's needs. So really what I'm going here, you could probably see my desktop. All I'm doing is I'm actually going into Windows Explorer. So that's one of the interfaces. So through Windows Explorer, let me go ahead and maximize this. I'm actually just going to my C drive, and notice I have a multiple vaults here. For the demo, I'm going into this quick start vault. So this is what's called a vault view. So the idea here is you're actually going into it's a view of the vault, but the way it works is when you open or check out a file, it puts it on your local system. So when people are working, every time they save to their local system and then when they check it in, then it checks in that version onto the vault, onto the server. So in this case, I'm going to log in as designer, so you can see a workflow. And by the way, the login can be set up so that it's using your Windows domain login, so people don't have to remember multiple passwords. You just set up a login. So notice the folders are like a green color, showing you that these are what's in the vault. Notice the project structure, and again, this is fully customizable to every customer's needs. So you can kind of see, so that based on this project, it's broken up into design data, documentation, and specifications. Now, if you take another look at another project, same format. So you're staying consistent. And then the other way is, if I right-click and I go in and I say I want to start a new project, I could just go into here and say create a new project. These are templates that you could fully customize and create, and go in and say, okay, based on what this is going to be for a capping machine. Based on that list, it's going to be a piston product filter. So based on your product line, you could customize this, and then you could add a customer name. So in our case, we're just going to say SolidWorks, hit OK, and it's automatically going to create the project structure for you. Again, that's a template you set up easily. And as it's creating the project, notice it's project 0. It takes the next serial number or that you could set up. And again, same format. Now for documentation, just to kind of show you, how do I get files into here? It's Windows, right? It's Windows Explorer. So the interface is really easy. So I could actually go in, here's some documents I need to add to the vault. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and select all of them and then do a Control-C for copy. And I'm going to go into my documentation folder here and literally just go in and say Control-V. So I'm just pasting the data into this folder. So it's just like moving anything in Windows Explorer. Control-C, Control-V, Control-X. You can drag and drop files into here. And so what happens here when I go ahead and drag these files over, right? Now notice they're still checked out by the designer. So you could always see who has the files. So that means these files, notice they don't have a revision yet. They're not in a state quite yet. That means these files are not in the vault quite yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select all of them, and you just right click and I say check in. So I'm just saying check these files into the vault so that they're going to be available for everybody to see. So when I'm checking them in, now they're moving onto the server, the vault server, so that other users could see them. And the whole idea is check-in, check-out capability. So you're never going to have an issue where two people are working on the same file. So whenever somebody has a file checked out, that means they have ownership of that file, and nobody else could check it out. They could open it and put it in and use it in an assembly, use it in a drawing, do whatever, but they cannot make a save as. They could do a copy as well. But the nice thing about this interface is, notice if I click, there's a SolidWorks drawing. These data cards are fully customizable, and these properties right here are all tied to the file properties. So I could go in, there's a preview. So actually it has over 250 viewers associated with the file. So initially so right there it's a drawing. Notice this is a DWG file, an AutoCAD file. It's using eDrawings for the viewer as well. Here's a PDF. So notice any file type I'm able to check in, and you could do let's say a JPEG maybe that has an image, so you could grab it and move it around. So different viewers associated with it. Again, different data cards per different file. You could see what version it has. We'll talk about the bill of materials. So if you have an assembly, and I could go into bill of materials and see what that assembly or that drawing is referencing, contains, so you could always see the same thing. What does that assembly or drawing reference? And then where used is another really powerful tool. So where is that part used? So the key, things that reason you would use enterprise or data management in general is how often do you basically make the incorrect part? How often do you send for quote or get something made and it's the wrong version, wrong revision? Because a lot of, without a data management package, people tend to go in and make copies and try and manage based on folders and renaming files. But after a while, you start getting confused and don't know where anything is. So this product basically does all your revisioning, your versioning, and revisioning all within the software. So you're always working with the latest version, or you always know that you're working with the latest version. So really quick, so that's one interface. You can see how you could just kind of drag and drop. Now the other way is I could just go in and let's say from SolidWorks, the SolidWorks interface, I could just go in and I'm just going to model a couple of really simple parts, put them together into an assembly, and then see how I put them into the vault. So I'm just going to model, again, just some basic parts so you could get an idea of this, and I'll make some changes so you can see the interface. So I'm just working in SolidWorks, and I'm going to go ahead and save this. And when I save it, all I'm doing is I'm actually just going to go ahead and browse to what I call the vault view. I'm actually just going to go in. I'm still logged in as designer. You have the full interface, full search capabilities. I'm going to go to the project that I just created, and I'm going to go to design data. And I'm going to call it, this is demo part 1, and I'm just going to go ahead and save it. And as soon as I save it, it sees that I'm saving it into the vault view. And what it's going to do is it's automatically going to come up with a data card. So if you already filled in the properties, this is going to get filled in. But if not, you could type in some information. You could go in and select material, vendor. You could pick from a list. Excuse me. Hit OK, and then now it's saved again in your local area, right? So you're working in your local cache. But until you actually go in, and here's the interface within SolidWorks. I'm going into my task pane. This is my Enterprise PDM interface. This kind of shows that, hey, I don't have this. This is not in the vault yet, so people can't see that quite yet. And I'll do that in a little bit. But let me just go ahead and create another part. And I'll just create another part. I'll put it in an assembly just so you can see all the references as well and how that kind of works. Again, a similar part. Maybe this one I'll add some fillets so we could tell it apart. So let's say this is another part. Go ahead and save it. Again, I'm going to save it in the same location. Just rename it with a demo part 2. Hit save. Right? I'm not going to put any information in just to accept it. Let's go into this part, and let's now make an assembly. Put those together, and then maybe do a drawing. Insert the other component. And I'm not going to worry too much about positioning them. Just trying to get something created here. And then just move that so it's there. So let's say there's my assembly. I'm going to go ahead and rebuild and save the document. Same area, right? I'm just going to go back into here. Give it a name. And last thing, same thing. Again, a data card comes up. And the data card is going to be different for a part, an assembly, or drawing based on what properties you want to associate it with. And then let's just go ahead and make this drawing, EPDM drawing here. And again, just here, I'm just going to populate the views. Let's just do one more here. Accept it. And the beauty of this now is, again, same thing. I'm just saving it so it's local. It's going to take the same name as the assembly. But now, if I want to go in and say, okay, I'm done with, now I'm not done with it, I'm working on this, but I want to put this into the vault. So now, so everybody else could see these, well, I just go into this interface and just say, you know what, let's take this drawing and basically, yeah, let me just save it, sorry. Yep. Save that. And go in, and you could just do a file from here, just again save, or in this case, let's go ahead and I want to check in this document. So I'm going to say check in. Notice it's going to see, hey, the drawing is being checked in, but it's going to understand all the references. That's, you know, it understands all the relationships between all the parts, assemblies, and drawings. So I'm going to check them all in, but I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to check this, the drawing, the assembly checked out, but demo part 2 I want to keep checked out. I think demo part 1 is done, so I'm just going to leave that. And you could put in comments, which is a good idea. So when you look at the history, you could see all the history that's involved in this model. So I'm going to go ahead and check it in. By checking it in, again, now other people in the company could go into the vault and view these files. And I said view and open because I still have them checked out. Notice when you're working on the other nice thing here is a multi-user environment. So since I went in and I checked out, notice I own demo part 2. That means somebody else could open up this assembly and take ownership of demo part 1 and make modifications. And a nice thing is if they make a modification, do a save and check it in, you will get notified that this part has changed. It'll highlight and it'll tell you that that part has changed, and you could always just right-click and update and get the latest version. So you would see those changes live while you're working. So again, multi-user environment, and nobody's ever going to be working on the same part, and you're always able to take a look at the latest model. So all I'm doing here is I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what, let me edit this. I don't want to edit that feature. I want to go ahead and let me edit this part. Actually, let me just, yeah, I'm editing this part and basically go in and let's just shell this out, just something simple. So I just shell that out so you can see a change. I could go ahead and save that, get out of this. Let me save the assembly. If I go back to my drawing, of course the drawing is updated. Let me go ahead and save that. And since everything is now new and this is a significant change, I want to go in and basically check in this assembly again. And notice I'm checking it in, and it's going to say, well, now the drawing is going to be version 3. The assembly is going to be version 2. So based on shelled demo part 2. And you don't have to put in comments. Again, it's good to put in the comments, or you could force users to put in comments. But now I have those, and the nice thing about this as well is it allows you to go in and say, well, you know what, I want to take a look at that, but let me get what was version 1. So you could always actually look and say version 1 of this drawing basically has that, but let me actually get this version. Version 2, let me get the first version of demo part 2. Okay, so you see how it's a solid. So you could always kind of go back, and you, like I was saying here, you could see the highlight. So this shows you, hey, you're not working with the latest. So that's easy. Just right-click, get latest version, get, boom. Now use version from the vault, and now you have it's getting the latest versions on your system, and then now you have it. And notice I don't have anything checked out anymore. So now let's say another part of this is I want to now go in, let me just close these out. Now I want to go in and get these files moving through the system. So I go to my project, I go to my design data, this is where I saved them, right? Notice there's not a revision yet. The state that I'm in, you could define a workflow. This is very important. You could define a workflow so you could really control how your approval process works. Okay? So in this case, if I go in, I want to go in and check this drawing, change this drawing to I want to go in and say submit for approval. I'm going to go ahead and submit for approval, and I'm going to go, please check my model. Go ahead and hit OK, and it's going to go in and say, now it's going to say pending approval. With pending approval, I'm able to now go in. I'm set up here on a demo system. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to log off as a designer, and I'm going to turn around and log in as a manager. So I log in as a manager. Notice you kind of probably heard the notification. You could set this up so it's using SQL notification, or you could set it up so you use your email, your Outlook, or whatever. But basically, please check my model. So as a manager, I get a notification automatically when I submit something for a designer submits for approval. Guess what? They could go in and click on the file. They could actually just go into the folder where the project folder is, and that's just a link to the folder, and then I could go in as a manager and take a look at these. So I could go ahead and take a look at that drawing, go to my preview and take a look at that drawing, and then maybe if I want to rotate it, I could look at the assembly. It looks good. That part, looks good. This demo part 2 looks good as well. So if I want to go in and now approve this, I could right-click on this and say change state, and then I say approve, or I could say reject changes. Reject changes, it would send a notification to the designer, hey, make these changes. You could even put in a red line. But the other way is, another thing I want to show is, how about if you, let's say, the manager is on vacation for a little bit and they come back and they don't want to go through all their emails to see what they need to approve. The search capability is extremely powerful. The search is you could search based on any kind of information associated with the file. I could even search on, okay, workflow, let me see everything that is pending approval. Because I'm a manager, show me everything that's pending approval that was performed by this user and between these dates. In my case, I want to search everything that's pending approval to see what I need to approve. There's a lot of files I need to approve, right? But the main one I'm looking at is, okay, these are pending approval. The interface is full right here in your search menu. If I like this, I could go ahead and right-click, change state, approve it. Now here's a great thing when I'm approving this, and you could password protect this as well, so a user can't just go to the manager's office and approve stuff. But when it's doing this, it's going to go in and automatically ask me hey, do you want to create output a file? So you can set up tasks. So what's happening here is, first of all, by approving it, this is going into a released state. Notice the state. Now that's in a release state. And now those files are going to now have a revision. But also what it's doing in the background is specific tasks. In my case, I have set it up so that it does a task of making a PDF. So first of all, notice the revision. They're all at A now, and they're in a release state. And based on that, now the only manager maybe could access these files or change the state. But so now it's doing the move there. Let me just go ahead and right-click here, refresh. It's still creating the PDF. So, but in a second, you'll see the PDF actually get created of this drawing. Okay, and notice when I made that drawing also, you could set it up so that it automatically fills out. Okay, the rev is done. It was drawn by this person. That information automatically gets filled in. So you can automate a lot of tasks, and make sure that again everybody's working on the latest. Everybody's looking at the latest version and making the latest version. So everybody's working on the released model, and people know if it is released or not. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh this a little bit more. Might need to switch. I might have probably put that in the documentation, but either way, that's how it's going to go in, and it does the automated geometry. Just the one last thing is, if I'm going to go in and log off as manager, I'm going to go ahead and log in again as designer. And with the designer, now I got a notification that says, hey, the following have changed from pending approval to release. So, even as the designer, when you did submit something for approval, you still was able to get that information. And then now also, if I go back into that quick start, if I go into here, if I go to design data, this geometry is released. Notice, as a designer, I could right-click on it, but notice I cannot check it out. It's grayed out because I don't have access. I could open it and put it into another, reference it, or open the assembly and put it in a top-level assembly, that kind of stuff. But I can't change it because I'm a designer. So you control access. So lots of control on access. And you can define the workflow to really set up your process and automate a lot of things. But again, the key things is you're not going to be working on or creating the incorrect model, getting the wrong part made. Another key thing is multiple users. If you have multiple users working on the same project, you're not ever going to have an issue of people overwriting other people's files. Okay? And it's extremely fast searching, really powerful searching tools. So that's kind of a good overview of the enterprise product. If you do have any questions, specific questions, or you would like to see this a lot closer and in more detail, please just give us a call and ask for your account rep, and they will set something up to do the demo. So thank you for attending today, and please join us at our other webinars. Thank you.